Between 1935 and 1945, the Japanese military operated a secret research facility in Manchuria called Unit 731. It was officially devoted to water purification and epidemic prevention. In reality, it was a factory of horrors. Japanese scientists conducted live vivisections without anesthesia, infected prisoners with the plague and cholera to study disease progression, and performed forced amputation and reattachment, tested flamethrowers and grenades on living people, and subjected prisoners to extreme temperature to study frostbite. An estimated 200 to 300,000 people died, mostly Chinese civilians and prisoners of war. After the war, the commander, Shiro Ishii, and his staff were granted immunity from prosecution by the United States in exchange for their data. The US wanted the biological warfare research and didn't want it falling into Soviet hands, so these men never faced trial for their actions. Heck, we might still be benefiting from the knowledge gained through torture. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's documented history. The difference between Unit 731 and the Nazi experiments is that the Nazis were persecuted at Nuremberg. The Japanese weren't. The data was considered too valuable. This raises a question that medicine still hasn't fully resolved. Can you ever use knowledge that's gained through unethical means? Here's the ethical dilemma. Imagine that data from Unit 731 contributed to vaccine development, or our understanding of frostbite treatment. Every person who benefits from that knowledge is indirectly benefiting from torture and murder. Does using the knowledge honor the victims by ensuring their suffering wasn't meaningless? Or does it unintentionally validate the experiments by proving they had some scientific value? There's really not a good answer to this question. This gets at consequentialism versus deontological ethics. A pure consequentialist might argue that if the knowledge saves lives, we should use it regardless of how it was obtained. The past can't be changed, but the future can be helped. Yet, a deontologist would argue that some acts are so heinous, fundamentally wrong, that they taint everything they produce. Using this form of experimental data might save lives, but it also normalizes atrocities as a means to an end. Unit 731 also reveals something disturbing about scientific culture. These weren't sadists, they were trained scientists who convinced themselves they were doing valuable research. They dehumanized their victims by calling them logs. This is the banality of evil that Hannah Arendt described. Ordinary people committing extraordinary atrocities when they're embedded in the systems that normalize brutality. The real horror isn't that monsters exist, it's that anyone can be made into one under the wrong set of circumstances. Science divorced from ethics can justify anything. And this is another scary science story this October. You want to join in tomorrow, where I'll be sharing another episode.